Hi, welcome to this instant online free webinar, which is called the Supernatural Reset Method. Thanks for being here. I made this obvious online because I also have a live webinar, but most people or a lot of people cannot make it to that webinar, so I created this as well. Now, at the end of this video, I will invite you on a one-on-one talk with me. But please, look at the whole video. If you feel something within yourself where you say, yes, I want to talk to Willem, me, then by all means, schedule the 20-minute meeting and we'll talk and we'll see how I can be of service to you. Now, while you're going to look at this webinar, I chose a different background. And the background, actually, let me go away, and it looks like this. Now, what is this? This is a phoenix rising. A phoenix burns itself, and out of its ashes, a new phoenix arises. I thought it was beautifully symbolic for our lives. Usually, when something, what we call bad, happens to us, we burn ourselves, our ego, and a new personality, being arises. I thought it was a nice symbol, and it gives me and you wings. I will do my best that your time here today is super well invested, and this was a good idea for you to come here. Now, thanks for being here. What I want to share today is a method that I have discovered throughout my life, a way to be totally spiritually invested in yourself without feeling of being disappointed in your chosen path. And that this method is unique to you according to your unique style, your method, and how to maintain that throughout your life without letting setbacks hold you back or falling back into old habits. It is based not doing unwanted things in your life, but more focused on you. That you need to do the right thing or things at the right times. Now, this is specifically for you if you are already on a spiritual path. Many begin their spiritual path believing it will free them from their pain. They imagine awakening as the end of conflict, the end of emotions, and the end of a struggle. But sooner or later, every sincere seeker meets a deep disappointment. That awakening does not erase your humanity. It actually makes you more present to it. You still feel the anger. You still feel fear. You still meet loss, uncertainty. You have doubts. And this feels like a failure. Now, this disappointment, this failure is not a detour. It actually is a threshold. This is where the real path starts. And if you have a feeling that if things are aligned and going well in the next 3 to 5 years, you can actually create magic. If you have something of that, great. This is the energy I want us to tune into today. What is possible to create? Because it is all possible when you are being in service to find your potential. You have to be in service of yourself. You doing what is aligned to you, and to bring that to you is to have a proper method. I understand. There are so many different ideas and methods out there. I mean, it is overcrowded. But really, what I want to give you today is the most simplistic, step-by-step thing that you need to do in order to actually succeed. Great. How is your spiritual life structured? This is kind of an interactive thing. You see the 1, 2, and 3, and just punch in the numbers 1, 2, 3. I will give a little bit of information about meditation. Number 1, people sit in silence, but they stay caught in thought. It becomes a mental exercise, not a spiritual one. Visualization. Who has not heard of visualization the last 30 years, really? The inner vibration doesn't match the outer vision, so it doesn't manifest. Very frustrating. Reading spiritual content. It feels good in the moment, but nothing changes unless it is lived, experienced by you.
My name is Willem Sternberg. So I would say the theme of my life is not belonging, feeling that I'm not belonging. And that's because I came out of divorced parents into a family where there were already 2 other kids. And all of a sudden I felt misplaced, not belonging. I didn't get the attention as I got. One of my earliest memories of a spiritual experience was that I was laying in my bed, must have been 6 or 7 years old, and I couldn't sleep. And I went with my mind into the universe. And I went further and further and further and further and further and further and further, and I couldn't find the end. Now that made me enormously afraid. I couldn't find an ending. It was endless. So basically I went into the unknown, and that made me extremely afraid.
Then the outcome of my spiritual search since I was really 7 years old is this supernatural reset method in which it is all about freedom. Basically, the freedom of being able to create what feels aligned, to be able to create massive impact, and at the same time also walk in a reality that is in tune with you. To change your life, to change your children's lives, to create generational change. It's possible. Epigenetics shows us. Now is the time to change it. The vibration is here. Now the universal alignment is here. Now is the time to start. And if you already started, to go deeper, creating it, and while doing something that is really good, that is impacting yourself and the people around you, viewing change as the driving force for impact, and impact as the driving force for change, unlocking a state of true freedom of being. Do not live for the future. You're not going anywhere other than here and now. Let go of resistance. Flow with life's intelligence, knowing you are always held and guided by something great. See the divine in everyone and everything. Life isn't about getting somewhere, it's about becoming someone. The process, your evolution, your learning, your vibrational alignment is the purpose. You are the purpose. Your life is the purpose. Creation itself is the gift, the unfolding of your path, the contrast, the discoveries, the synchronicities. Move beyond fear by choosing love, compassion, and unity, even when it's hard. Yes, for me as well, still. Love, however, is the most advanced state of being. I took many people through this ever unfolding method that I'm going to share with full transparency. All of what I'm going to show you now is from the program. It is a 3-month program that people come into. We go from building your method to learning how to integrate that method, learn all of the things that I'm showing you here, including the super deep methods being used in the program. And at the end of this workshop, I'm not going to try to sell you the program because I want you to listen. I want you to absorb all of it. I really don't want you to be on the edge of, okay, when is he going to sell me? When I see webinars, I don't like that at all. Actually, the opposite will happen. By the end of this workshop, I will give you another invitation that is another free, super valuable invitation for you. Whether you join or not, you will have massive clarity on what to do. You will leave this path knowing what you should be doing and having the feeling of trust in yourself that you can do it. And you can. The biggest thing for me is that I am not trying to push anyone to buy from me. That's not what I want. I work with people who desire to work with me. And this is the first thing that I'm inviting you to start shifting your mindset. It's not about working with people who need me. It's more about working with people who can get to the desired outcome with me. Okay, let's use this metaphor. I can give the shortcut. I can be the guide. So if everyone is on the river flowing on their boats, I can be the guide in the boat next to them, pointing out the rocks which will appear in 200 meters before they hit them. You see, I've sailed this river, faced its currents, and know where the hidden dangers lie. So you can navigate with courage, skill, and unshaken course. That's what I want. Okay, good. The mission. What's the mission? The mission is to have 3% of the world population going into a higher vibration so we can heal ourselves and the world. Okay. Now, the 3% is, I'm not going to do that. We're all going to do that. I am actually inviting you to be part of a global community that will work on elevating their vibration and have an uprising in their consciousness. And when you have an uprising in your consciousness, your neighbor will feel you and will start asking questions. What are you doing? This is how the morphogenetic field works. Look it up. Morphogenetic field. The 5 core pillars. Flame. A flame symbolizes the inner light the divine spark, and aligned action. Okay. Now, the F stands for follow what ignites you. The L, leap with full commitment. Act boldly and wholeheartedly. A, allow it to unfold. Allow the unfolding. Release the need to micromanage reality. M, maintain an uplifted mindset. No matter what the universe shows you, stay in an uplifted vibration regardless of what arises. We go to the E, embody trust. Walk in faith, trust in divine timing, your inner wisdom and the bigger picture beyond the ego self. The 3 shifts. There's 3 shifts. How to create a transcendence-based self that can really allow you to use your own magic and effortlessly create something that constantly happens. And what are those 3 shifts? Okay, we go from habit to choice. It leads from unconscious to conscious. It leads to clarity. Okay, then we will go from knowledge to knowingness, the 2nd shift. And it transcends beliefs and anchors truth. We'll get into that. And then shift 3 is from believing to becoming. It is your truest self embodied. It gives birth to your awakened self. This is shift 1, from habit to choice. So you're going from being unaware to awareness. And it leads to, this is shift 1, from habit to choice. So you're going from being unaware to awareness. And it leads to clarity, and choice is the first act of freedom. Look, this shift, the first shift, might seem super basic. However, it is the building block for everything that follows. Just like a house needs a foundation, okay? So we're going to look at the who, what, where, and how. And I invite you, I would like to make this an interactive question. Just write down your answer to who am I? Who are you? Who am I? Write down your answer and then we'll go over it. Okay, Jim, good, you're a human being, that's correct. What are you made out of, kind of? Now, I'm not going to give you hints. Just write down your answer and we go from there. I'm consciousness, says Priscilla. Very nice. You are also consciousness. Correct? Good. So let's go to the next frame. And you are who you believe to be. What is my core belief in any situation? What is my philosophy, my doctrine, my mindset, my outlook? Okay, your entire self-concept is built on beliefs about who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what is true about life, what is not true about life. And we will work in this workshop with a book called Reflections of Belief. And it will make things very, very clear. So let's go to the next. And here again, I ask you, what am I? So who am I is then what you believe about yourself. Yeah, I'm talking about the physical self. I'm not talking about the consciousness. What am I? Okay. So let me help you out of your pain. And you are actually the emotional impact of that core belief. You are an emotional being. Emotions arise not from circumstances, but from your beliefs about these circumstances. I'll give you an example. If you believe failure means you're worthless, you feel shame, right? If you believe failure is part of growth, you feel empowered. Super simple. Now then, where am I? The environment you've created based on both. So your belief created an emotion, and that created an environment. And then we go to the next one, which is how? How did I get here? Are these my core values? Do I really believe that? And do I want to be in this situation? You see, beliefs can be imprinted from early age. Your parents might have told you, don't do this, do that, believe that, think about this. But they might not be yours, but they're stuck with you. So you need to investigate your belief system. What is your belief system? So if you do not want to be in the situation, then go back to your who and investigate what your belief is that triggered the emotional state that got you here. And let's change that, okay? So how do we deconstruct beliefs that do not serve you? The one key is awareness, to be aware. Trouble arises when the ego believes it must control everything. In fear, it tries to protect itself and blocks the flow of your true self. We all experience that. So we live in a hologram because physical reality is not solid. It is a projected, vibrational based illusion. So reality is a projection of consciousness. And why is it a hologram? Because it allows you to experience the separation while still being inseparable, connected to the one, the all in all, the point zero. The holographic nature means nothing is ever truly lost. Every piece always contains the blueprint of the whole. Now, here we see a fantastic example of a hologram. Who would have thought that these ABBA shows in London sell out? People living in a hologram, like us, looking at people being a hologram. It's like babushka, babushka, kind of like, you know, it's super weird. So let me show you this. Oh, sorry for that. We need to move to the next one. Okay. There. This is it. This is a hologram, a show. And people come in drones. As a friend of mine said, printing money again. Here's a story, and I was living in Holland, and I was going, and I'm flirting with spirituality, and I did meditations here, meditations there, and I was opening up a bit, and at that point I was a struggling actor in Amsterdam. And my career wasn't going anywhere, and I was very disgruntled, very frustrated with it. And I remember waking up in the morning, and I woke up, and it I was fed up. I said, I need to do something else. I need to move on with my life. I can't just being an actor here and a small part there and a small part there. Something needs to happen. And so I was laying in my bed and I was imagining, what is it that I really want? Follow my bliss, follow what ignites me. And I said, whatever happened to that dream when I was 14, 15, when I played guitar, being in a band? I let that dream go. So I said, you know what? I want to be a rock and roll star. And I lay down, started imagining that and let it go. Maybe for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I was imagining it. And I let it completely go. 2 weeks later, my manager calls me and he says, listen, I have an audition for you. I said, what is it? Yeah, it's going to be big. It's 13 episodes, but the big producer in Holland is making a huge TV show, and whole Holland comes out and everybody wants parts in it. I said, okay, so I'll come out. So I did the audition, just being myself. I think I played the main lead, the audition, and you never know. You never know. You can say at one point, okay, the audition went well, or it flowed, but you don't know what they're looking for. So I was like, okay, fine. I said to my manager, I'm going on a holiday, and is there anything do I need to call you because of this? He says, yes, in 2 weeks, give me a call on this and this date. So I was in Sardinia, France. No, Sardinia. This is Italy. And I was there and I went to a phone booth. I called him and I said, Harry, how's it going? He says, Willem, they want you in the series. I said, great. He says, but it's not going to be the main lead. I said, okay. He says, but it's going to be a nice part. It's going to be a very nice part. It's going to be a big part. In the beginning, the first 3 episodes, you won't be there, but then you will be really in the whole series. And I have a question for you. Do you play guitar? I said, yes, I do play guitar. He goes, great, because you're going to be the band leader creating a song, and that song, the lead lady is going to sing, and it will be big on the charts, in the TV show, blah, 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 right? Now, after I did this whole TV show, and I was that character who supposedly created this song, this number became a number 2 hit, not 1, but 2 in the hit parades for about 1 or 2 months. So everybody on the street recognized me as a rock and roll artist. And I was just blown by it. I didn't connect yet my dream state and when I woke up, but years later, understanding how things work, I said, oh my God, I created it that way. And that's why I'm telling this story. And here you can see the song, if you want to see it. Yeah, there. Yeah, all the music. There, that's me. This is the main lead. Okay, that's me with my guitar. There. So this became a number 2 hit. This is actually the in the studio creating the TV show. So it looked like this, and they used this clip from the TV show in the real Top Pops. It's bizarre. It was bizarre. Here we go. See, and now that I'm in love, but I was in love, but she was not in love with me. Oh, what drama, oh, what drama. So I told you my story. So this is an invitation to dream big. What I saw on my journey with this supernatural reset method is that people who had a vision for themselves, let's say 5 years, or 3 years, they would not be doing what they were doing at that moment. It's like me saying like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. What is it then that I do want? Okay. And this is where they started setting their boundaries, saying, okay, what is not aligned here? Right? So this here is my boundary. I will not do this exercise or meditation any longer because I'm not aligned with it. And there will be many things in your life where you're thinking, whoa, is that really me? Right? And you are here to expand your impact. Now, let's see how we build it so it makes sense for you. And these are methods, examples of people, of me, starting something small, something basic, becoming an actor, not moving anywhere, and then saying, there's my boundary. What is it then that I want? Now, crazy enough, yeah, it went together with the acting, and it lifted my acting career. I really had a good acting career after that. Okay, so it takes step by step, and you got to remember, you are not on a path. You are the path. So each step you take is the awakening. We are living in a hologram, and we are also multi-dimensional beings, which means that we are consciousness that exists and operates on many levels of reality at once. Not only in the physical world, but also in the energetic, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions. So the second shift, from knowledge to knowingness. In this webinar, I will share knowledge with you, and most of it already lives within you. Knowledge can be given, but knowingness must be awakened. That transition is not always easy. Perhaps you felt it yourself. Here one moment, gone the next. The challenge and the art is to make it steady, a constant flame, as to say, in your life. And this is where I can serve you. I can guide you toward that stability so that what flickers becomes an unshakable light. We will go over these points: the original self, point 0, the formless self, the bridge mind, and the physical self. Now, point 0 is the foundational state. In this state, there is no movement, no change, only being. It is the eternal now. Now, let's start with the first sentence in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. So he created time, space, and matter. If God, or point 0, whatever you want to call it, created that, where was it before it created time, space, and matter? Right? Not in time, not in space, and not in matter. So it created the Big Bang, and it's created from that eternal existence state, and existence became aware of itself. Imagine a point being everywhere at once, but not reflecting upon itself. So it created time, space, and matter to reflect upon itself. And it became aware. By the way, we don't live in just one universe. We exist within multiverses. And in those other realms, similar Big Bangs may have unfolded. Truly mind-blowing to imagine. I mean, that's why I was, as a 7-year-old, going with my mind into the universe and not understanding it and becoming extremely afraid. I didn't understand. Good. Now, the formless self, okay? We're talking about the formless self, the Christ within, the divine spark. Jung called it the self with a capital S, the totality of the psyche, the integrated divine center of being. That's what Jung said. Each soul creates a formless self, and it acts as the organizing blueprint of all your incarnations, past, future, and parallel. Now, you can see here, this here is the timeless soul, right? And then here we have the formless self. And all of these are incarnations, and we are living at this point, from the formless self, our life now. This is our life. These were past incarnations, future incarnations, whatever it is. All of that comes from the one soul. So again, the formless self is your future self guiding you from a higher dimensional perspective. Now, 3 signs that you are not living from your formless self is you feel constantly stuck, drained. You keep seeking external validation, and you second guess everything you do. Now, let's go to the bridge mind. The bridge mind is the bridge between that formless self and the physical self. So the formless self gives you the path. The bridge mind translates it, as you can see, into intuition, excitement, synchronicity, passion, and creativity, and all other sorts of uplifting feelings that you get not in the brain, but in your heart. You feel it. Good. And the physical self chooses to act on it or not. Now, by integrating the physical self and the bridge mind, the physical self here and the bridge mind, okay, then you begin to merge the physical self with the formless self, living as a conscious co-creators. They work together. When your physical self and formless self are in balance here, they are in balance, you start to live in a state of peace, joy, empowerment flow. You become your authentic self. And the reality that you live in reflects the results. So the bridge mind exists here in your aura. It's so close. When someone lives mainly from the personality mind on the left here, the aura bands around the body are seen as running in one direction, staying within the visible light spectrum, right? In Hertzian, infrared, and visible light. It doesn't go higher than that. Okay, meaning they don't access higher mystical states. The now mind, okay, on the right, is non-linear, timeless, and expansive, more like direct perception than thought. When you shift into this state, the outer bands of the aura flip. This will be utterly discussed in the method. It's too in-depth to discuss it at this point. Now, in this state, instead of energy recycling around in the same loop, the aura bands open up to higher frequencies, and one begins to live the mystical rather than the predictable personality self. Now, the physical self is the next one, is your conscious awareness of physical reality. It perceives the now, it remembers the past, it cannot see the future because that's not its job. Its role is to observe and experience physical reality. Now here we need to talk about the ego. The ego is not who you truly are. It is a construct that arises within the unconscious, subconscious, and conscious layers of the mind, and it acts as a mask, giving you the illusion of separation and control. So the ego withholds you from experiencing your true self by fear-based definitions of self, believing you are small, powerless, unworthy, or separate from existence, control and resistance. The ego trying to micromanage how things will happen instead of letting the formless self orchestrate synchronicity, limiting beliefs. For example, I can't do this. I don't deserve this. It's too hard. Or something bad will happen if I follow my excitement. If I follow what ignites me. These keep the ego in survival mode instead of aligning yourself with it. The attachment to outcome. This is a huge one. The physical mind's job is to pick the most exciting choice in the moment, not to decide what the outcome must look like. Insisting on outcomes blocks the higher mind's ability to deliver surprises beyond your imagination. Judgment and comparison, seeing yourself or others through the lens of lack, better, worse, success, failure, instead of recognizing everything as a reflection of wholeness. So, look at the ego not as the enemy. It is not something to eliminate. It is a useful tool that allows your infinite self to have physical experience. So you are a physical self guided by a bridge mind, orchestrated by your formless self, the divine spark, the Christ within, rooted in a soul, which itself is an aspect of point zero, the original self. I got out, or not out, but I was in a divorce that really, really hit me hard. I was so sad. I was so broken, heartbroken, really heartbroken. And I did everything to make her come back, but it wouldn't work. And on top of that, after 2 months, she told me that she was pregnant from the other man that she met. And I told her, if I wasn't already broken or dead, then you put a dagger in my heart by telling me this and really push it. Maybe it was a dagger of wood to get the devil out. Anyway, I was in shambles. And obviously I needed that in my life, this lifetime, to move on with myself and not hang my head on somebody else's energy in order to be to find my own happiness. Dependent, in a way, emotionally dependent. So I went to to do all kinds of stuff. And I was living in Holland, and it was very difficult for me to have a straight head. And a friend of mine who had been 10 years going to India says, listen, I think it's a good time for you to come with me to India, because I will be going in January, and now it's November or October, and then you can relax. And I told him, no, I can't, because I need to go do all kinds of other things that I already had promised. And one day I flew to where my parents lived in Portugal, and I came back in the airport, and I was walking. And you have to understand that I was in such pain, and I was only living from my formless self. I couldn't deal with the pain, so all day long I was focused upon my formless self to take care of my pain, because my mind couldn't deal with it anymore. Okay, so I was really, and I knew how to do that with the breath and with the focus and everything that I had learned. And I came back to Schiphol, Amsterdam airport, and I'm walking. And on the left side, it's a hallway, and on the right there's walls, and on the left side there is there's windows. And I'm walking, and almost like in a trance, because I still felt the pain, and I was going and going and going, and all of a sudden my body stopped walking. And I went with it, and I thought, that's strange. That's very strange. But I was just standing there. All the people were just in a hurry, going to the passports, right? And you're going fast, fast, fast. And I was just standing there. And I remember my head went to the wall, and I saw pictures of India. And I registered it, and then slowly my head went to the other side, to the windows, and I saw an airplane with on the tail, it was written Air India. And I was like, okay, so that's what I need to do. I do need to go to India. And I went to India, and it was amazing, and I healed completely from all of my sorrows in India. I did Vipassana work, I did yoga teaching, I wrote a movie. I mean, I was on a high at one point, and after a year when I came back, I was healed. I felt healed. I actually felt blessed. I blessed my ex-wife for leaving me, because she was a catalyst for me being at that moment who I was. Without that disruption and pain, I would have never ever gotten where I am actually at this very moment. Shift 3. From believing to becoming. Believing is hoping something is true, often without direct experience. Now, becoming is living your truth. It's the soul's expression through human form. This shift represents transcendence. Now, what is transcendence? It is existence or experience beyond the normal or physical level. So it all depends on what is your vision. How do you want to see yourself? Where do you want to see things going? Let me guide you there. I can help you find your own way. Transcendence is constructed by chakras, the pineal gland, sometimes called the third eye, the God's warrior's breathing technique, very powerful breathing technique. That's why I called it that way. And then we have the great silence. Now, chakras are energy centers in the body that influence your physical, emotional, mental, and your spiritual well-being. They are energy wheels that align along the spine from the base all the way up to the crown of the head. And there's a wonderful 22-page PDF will be used in the program. Makes things very clear. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper into this. Here you can see the electromagnetic light spectrum. And that spectrum, you can see that we live here in the visible light. Okay, that's down here, the visible light. And that is the only thing that our eyes can see. But as you can see, it is a sliver of the whole electromagnetic spectrum, because we have all the way from radio waves to microwaves, which we also call Hertzian, go to infrared, then we come to the visible light, and then we go to ultraviolet. We can't experience that. We can, but we don't see that. Then X-ray and gamma ray, and all the way to the infinite unknown. Good. Here we can see the chakras, and each chakra is connected to a part of the electromagnetic light spectrum that we showed before. But spiritually, I use them in a spiritual sense and name them dimensions, since each level has a higher vibration than the other. So we can see at the bottom, Hertzian is the unconscious. It's the root chakra. The infrared is the social consciousness. It's the sacral chakra. The visible light is the solar plexus, and it's the consciousness. And the visible light is the piece that we see and that we experience, right? So then you have the ultraviolet, the X-ray, gamma ray, and the infinite unknown. I don't have to name all of them, but you can see them on the chart here. So then let's go to the next. The pineal gland, third eye. The pineal gland, also known as the third eye, is a small endocrine gland, or easy said, it is a energy hormone center located, as you can see on the picture here, in the center of the brain, and it's associated with the melatonin production, sleep-wake cycles, right? The intuition and higher consciousness, and DMT release in altered states or deep meditation. Now, the right breath work, we'll go to the next one, the God's warrior breathing technique, which is the right breath work, can increase heightened awareness and sometimes vivid spiritual experiences. Maybe I share one of them. However, DMT is also found in numerous plants, including the chacruna, which is used in the Amazonian shamanic brew, ayahuasca. I never tried it myself, but people say that they had great experiences. Now, I found this online. This is a British comedian. His name is Paul Smith. Recounts his memorable experiences with the psychedelic substance DMT during a stand-up routine. I laughed my head off. He went from being an atheist to a spiritual believer. He didn't do one DMT trip, he did many. Now, I do not advocate taking this drug, neither have I taken it, but this story is remarkable and super, super funny. Let's see if we can start some of that.
4th of March 2020 at 1 a.m, I did something called DMT for the first time. It fucking blew my head clean off. Like, the thing is, right, like, if you sat here now, I just want a little preamble for the people who haven't cheered and maybe don't know. I made up loads of people have cheered, right? But if you don't know what it is, don't feel bad as well. I consider myself quite clued up on this shit, and I didn't have a fucking clue at this point, right? DMT is a psychedelic drug, right? And full disclosure, right, on stage, I act like Billy Big Bollocks sometimes. Oh, let's go to MDMA, let's have a line or whatever. But in reality, I'm nearly 40 now, I've got 2 kids. I dabble a little bit, but I can't really fucking deal with the come downs anymore. Psychedelics, though, it's something I've always...
Anyway, it goes on for like 23 minutes. Look at him, Paul Smith, DMT, on YouTube, and you will actually have a fantastic experience with him. Or not, but I thought he was funny. Good, let's go to the next. The warrior healing breathing technique. It is a breath that will go through all the chakras from the bottom to your crown. It is one of the most powerful breathing techniques, especially for energizing the brain, purifying the energy channels, and activating the pineal gland. And we just talked about it, and it generates enormous healing powers. Maybe I share one of those stories. For obvious reasons, I will not demonstrate it here because it needs precise instructions and meticulous guiding in order to get the full benefits. The great silence. Through daily inner work, and I mean daily inner work, and it doesn't matter if you even do it 1 minute a day or 3 times 1 minute, but it is a daily work. Consistent awareness and consciousness choice to observe rather than react. You begin to rewire your brain and create a new emotional baseline rooted in peace. Stillness is not found, it is like a beautiful spirit grown within. Calmness lifts you above chaos. You all have experienced it. From peace, you choose with clarity. From presence, you create your true, authentic self. Beautiful words, but to integrate it, that's the deal. But it's knowledge, as I said. Okay. Awareness and vibration creates all reality. Let me give you a nice sacred tale. It is called The Drop That Forgot. A drop of water clung to a leaf after the rain. It looked at itself and said, "I'm only this tiny fragile drop of water?" And the wind replied, "That is only one interpretation you are choosing." The drop protested, "But I can fall, I can dry, I can totally disappear." And the wind said, "Then fall. Discover what you truly are." So the drop let go. In an instant, it merged with the river. instantly realizing it had always been the river, the sea, the clouds, the storm, the rain, the leaf, and the drop. And the river whispered, separation was the illusion, unity is the truth. You were never less than the whole. You only chose to play at being small. Now you can remember your infinity. I was with a lot of people, maybe 1,000 people, doing the warrior's breath work. And I was sitting outside, and before we were going to do a test, all eyes closed, and basically you need to find your way through a maze, in order to come to point zero. That was the test about. But before you went there, and we had done that test many times, but before you go there, you would raise your energy. So I was sitting there doing the breath outside. I think it was early morning, around 7 or 8 o'clock. And I was always a little bit afraid of this test, because it was a difficult, hard test. If you wouldn't be focused within your mind, you would be in social consciousness, basically, and not having a good time with yourself. And you couldn't open your eyes because they were taped. They were completely taped. You couldn't take off the tape. You could, but then the people around you would say, don't do that, because you agreed to do this test. And I agreed to do this test. So I was really a little bit out of fear, saying, okay, I'm going to this point zero right now, and I'm going to do the test without any problem, and I'm going to have an amazing time. And I was breathing and breathing and breathing, and all of a sudden, I lost track of time, but I heard, sometimes people say, that is heavenly music. Well, in my mind, I heard heavenly music. It's completely different than any music I had ever heard. And it was in my mind, and I wasn't aware that I was sitting in the grass, meditating and doing a breath work. And I was just enraptured in this heavenly music, enjoying it so much, because it was the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. And very slowly, I remember that my consciousness came back to my physical body, and it was very, very gradual that it came back. And I heard that the trumpets that I heard in this beautiful music was actually the wind going through the trees, because there was wind and there were high trees. So I realized that nature around me created this harmonious, unbelievable, in that moment, heavenly sounds. And I realized that basically everything is in divine order. I mean, it is not as good as you experience it yourself, but it is. You see, the thing is that when you experience that, you cannot keep on living the next day the same as you were doing that day or from your past. So these are very powerful experiences that I got. And it's not only I have many people that did this breath work have amazing stories. This is actually a healing story about my dog. and I had a Dalmatian dog, like, oh, sorry, like this one here. And he got sick one day. And I brought him to the vet. This was on a Friday around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Brought him to the vet. The vet said, okay, no worries. We'll take care of him and he'll be fine. Then I went with my friends camping. And at 6 o'clock when we arrived at the camping site, I said to my friends, let's call the vet and see how Boofy, that was his name, how Boofy is doing. So I got the vet on the phone, and he basically said, I'm sorry to tell you, but Boofy is not going to make it. Sorry? Why? What happened? You said we can go camping and everything is okay. Yeah, we figured out that he drank from the river, some salmon was in it, and he got himself some disease that dogs get when they drink water with dead salmon in it. And his liver didn't work anymore. And he says, that's it for dogs. We can't do anything anymore. And I was like, okay. So I told my friends, listen, we know how to heal. Yeah, we know with the breath work that we're doing, we know how to heal. Let's go back. So I said to the doctor, is it possible when we come back tomorrow morning to come and sit with a couple of friends and do some healing on him? And maybe tonight I will come as well. He said, yeah, you're most welcome. There's somebody there. I'll let them know you can come in. So we drove back another 2.5 to 3 hours. I think we arrived at 11 o'clock at night. We sat there. He was laying. He was not even responding to us. And I was in such shock. And we started healing with our breath work that I explained. I didn't explain the breath work, but there is a powerful breath work in the course, and it has great healing properties. So we started to heal him, and we did that for twice a day for the next 5 days. To make a really long story very short, we walked out with the dog after the 6th day, totally alive, with 5 doctors standing there looking at us. And one of them actually said, this is a miracle. And we, totally convinced that we helped the dog heal with raising our energy through the breath work, looked at them, smiled and said, yeah. And then we drove home with the dog, and we were kind of amazed that these doctors didn't ask us, what did you guys do? Because if I were a doctor, I would like to know, how did you heal a dog that you yourself said he cannot be healed because he's going to die, his liver, we cannot heal his liver. So that was a very powerful experience, and not that we needed proof that we could heal, but this was a very, very blessed moment, because I had my dog back, and it was fantastic. It was really one of those days that we were like celebrating basically our inner God, because we knew that it wasn't us that healed him, it was the formless self, the 0.0 that interconnected with his frequency. You are the method. You just need to trust your inner process, refine it as you grow, and live it deeply. Your life is the evidence, your presence is the message, your method is your quiet revolution. You already have everything inside of you. And this is the method that can guide you there. I want to talk to you about the difference between learning and taking action. And this is this is a super critical point, because I did bombard you with a lot of information, and I want you to start moving. I want you to start acting on this. I want you to actually believe and see how to do it in your case and to take action. If we don't have a custom plan, it can be very confusing. Okay, so really, in those 80 minutes, 70 minutes, I've given you all the tools to build this foundation. Now it's time for you to move forward. I want you to notice how it aligns in your life with what is your method that makes sense. What is your strategy that makes sense? How to implement it for you. And this is an invitation I'm going to give you right now. It's a free invitation. It's completely free. It's actually transformative. It really is transformative. You know, I took maybe more than 100 people through this process, and I call it the mind mapping session. We will start with an overview of your goals, desires, expectations, followed by a deep dive. This is like a free 20-minute session, and it will be an eye-opening experience because it will give you the clarity of what to do and how to move forwards. And I'm going to share the invitation now, so you can start the booking. You have seen this complete webinar, which I usually give live online, and actually I'm going to send you to a website where you can book this free 20-minute call. And there it is, free call, that's very simple, masterinlife.com, and you'll come to this site and you can click on a date and you can see the times on the right hand side, and you just book. Okay, and we'll talk for 20 minutes. You know, again, who is it for? If you have proven experience with a particular spiritual path, you know what you're all about. If growing yourself is your priority right now, because we're going to give you a plan of what to do, we're going to do a vision for you. What is your potential? And then what is the 90-day strategy for you that makes sense in your case, and from where you are at this very moment, including how the method will look like and how to implement it, and the program and everything that you need, so you will know in your case what to expect. Now, my time is quite precious. There are many people who are signing up for these free sessions. And if you're going on a holiday for 6 months to South America, good for you. Yeah? Or you're getting married, think twice. No, that's a joke. Or you completely don't have any experience with anyone. You don't know what you're about, and you just want some free value, then okay, this is not for you. Okay, I'm asking you, don't book a free call, because I'll find out and I'll say this is not for you. But if you know what you are about, and whether you join us at the end of these sessions, these free call sessions, we'll also invite you to our program. Yeah, of course. You're smart people. You know that, okay? You know that in the end, I will invite you to the 3 months program. But there's not going to be any selling. Really, I'm going here, the invitation again, so freecall.masterinlife.com. And whether you join us or whether you say, okay, this is a great plan, I know what to do and I'm going to implement it by myself, great. Both are amazing, okay? You will have real clarity in any case, okay? But please book those sessions, that if you know you have a plan, you're going to implement it if it makes sense for you. Okay, that's my only question. It makes sense for you what I shared here in this video today. It's where you are right now. You're super welcome. Okay, and here's some people who have been on those sessions. They shared that it was really showing them the right path. They shared that they're now feeling on fire. Wow, so inspirational. I was able to let go of all my negative feelings and learned how to be in harmony with my spirit right now, in the moment. So, and there was no pressure on buying anything. Really powerful sessions. Okay, so I'm going to stop this this webinar. Thank you so much for watching. Book the free call. I'll send it here again, and you have if I don't talk to you, a wonderful life.